Hey my lovely viewers, welcome back again. In this class we are going to see 6th class 3rd unit lesson, that is Taro's reward. Okay, let's start. Before you read, this is a story about a thoughtful and loving son. He works hard to fulfill his parents' wishes and gets some unexpected help. So these lines tells about that this is actually a story is all about a boy who was very thoughtful and loving towards his parents, who always cares for his parents. He always works hard. Why he works hard? He works hard to fulfill his parents' wishes. So he was very true to them. That's why he got an unexpected help. What's that help? When we enter into the lesson, then only we will know what's that unexpected help. Okay, let's start. Title of this lesson is Taro's reward. So, listen carefully. A young woodcutter named Taro lived with his mother and father on a lonely hillside. All day long, he chopped wood in the forest. Though he worked very hard, he earned very little money. So, this story is all about a young woodcutter. A young woodcutter named Taro. What was his name? What was the boy's name? Taro. Taro is the main character of this lesson. So, he is very young. He lives with his parents, that is mother and father, on the hillside, means near hillside. Okay, all day he work hard. He go to forest. What work he do? He go to the forest and cut the wood. So this is the work he do and earn money. But instead of doing that much of hard work, he earned a very little amount of money. Next, This made him sad, for he was a thoughtful son and wanted to get his old parents everything they needed. So even though he works very hard, he get only a little amount of money. He was very upset about that. Why? Because he wanted to fulfill all the wishes of his parents, but with that little amount of money, he can't afford all their needs. So that's why sometimes he's upset, sometimes that made him very sad. Okay, and this Taro is a thoughtful boy, means who loves and cares his parents too much. So that's why he work hard so that he can get everything whatever the parents needed. Okay, next, one evening when Taro and his parents were sitting in a corner of their hut, a strong wind began to blow. It whistles through the cracks of the hut and everyone felt very cold. Suddenly, Taro's father said, "I wish I had a cup of sake. It would warm me and do my old heart good." So one evening what happened when these three members sit in a house, suddenly a strong wind blow around. That wind was so strong enough it entered the house through the cracks. Cracks is nothing but some gaps and opening. So as they were very poor, their hut has some cracks all over the house. So through those cracks, the wind entered into the house and the old parents began to shiver. As they were very old, they began to shiver. So that made them very shivery. So at that time, Taro's father said, "I wish I could have a cup of sake." Here, listen here guys. So sake is sake, but here the sake should be pronounced as sake, which means a Japanese drink. If anyone could drink this sake, they could feel warm in the body. So that's why, as Taro's father is very old and he was shivering because of that strong wind, he was wishing that I could have that drink so that it may warm my body and my shivering heart will be in a good condition. I wish I could have a cup of that sake. This made Taro sadder than ever, for the heartwarming drink called sake was very expensive. How do I earn more money? He asked himself. How do I get a little sake for my poor old father? He decided to work harder than before. So, what happened? As soon as Taru heard that his father really wants to have that drink, he felt very sad. Why? Because he don't have that much of money to buy that drink. His parents shivering a lot, and his father is wishing that only this drink can make my heart warm. So, but he was thinking that how could I get that? It was very expensive. Here, expensive is nothing but very cost. So, he was thinking himself that how could I earn more money? How do I get that little sake for my old father? Then he thought that then he decided to work harder than ever and get that sake anyhow for my parents. Then what happened? Next morning, Taro jumped out of bed earlier than usual and made his way to the forest. He chopped and cut as the sun climbed and soon he was so warm that he had to take off his jacket. His mouth was dry and his face was wet with sweat. My poor old father, he thought, if only he was as warm as I. So he decided to work harder than before. That's why the very next morning he get up earlier than before and just made his way to the forest. Here, made his way to the forest is nothing but he went to the forest earlier than before and he started his work. He chopped and cut until it's noon. Here, sun climbed is nothing but afternoon. Okay? He don't even realize the time. He was just doing his work continuously without taking any break. Why? Because that thought was hitting his mind again and again. That anyhow he have to get and enough money to buy that drink, to buy that sake for his father. That's why he was very tired in doing his work. After some time, his body gets warm up, so he had to take off his jacket. His entire body and face was wet with sweat. Not only that, his mouth was dry. He was feeling very thirsty. At that time also he was thinking about his old father, that if my father also as warm as I right now. Okay, as warm as I means I am wishing that my father will also have the same warm body as I have. Okay, next. And with that, he began to chop even faster, thinking of the extra money he must earn to buy that sake to warm the old man's bones. Okay, we all know that Saki was very tired. He can take rest for some time, but not. He was not taking. Why? Because he was just thinking of his old father. He was thinking of his father's wish. He was thinking of that extra money to buy that sake for his old father. That's why he was doing his work faster than before. He was just he just wanted to earn money more to buy the drink, because only that drink can warm his old man's bones, old father bones. Okay, next. Let's see what happened next. Then suddenly Taro stopped chopping. What was that sound he heard? Could it be? Could it possibly be rushing water? Taro could not remember ever seeing or hearing a rushing stream in that part of the forest. He was thirsty. The axe dropped out of his hands and he ran in the direction of the sound. So, next, what happened? When he was chopping that wood in the forest, suddenly a noise came. That noise is the sound of running water. Suddenly he stopped and focusing on that sound. Was it really a rushing water? He was thinking. Is that possible to have a rushing water in this part of the area? He was just remembering because he ever saw any rushing water or he ever hear a rushing stream sound in this part of the area. As he was very thirst, almost he was exhausted and the axe from his hand dropped out and he don't have that much of energy to continue his work. He was feeling thirsty. That's why he thought of why shouldn't I go and chase that sound from where the water sound is coming? That's why he went in the direction of the sound. Next, Taro saw a beautiful little waterfall hidden behind a rock, kneeling at a place where the water flowed quietly. He cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Was it water or was it sake? He tasted it again and again, and always it was the delicious sake instead of cold water. Finally, what happened? He was chasing that sound and going through that direction. Finally, he got that water stream. He got to see that water stream. He was very astonished to see that little waterfall. Why? Because till now he hadn't seen or heard of water in this part of the area. He was very happy to see that beautiful little waterfall and he can't stop himself to go to the water. He just went to the water very quietly and he cupped a little in his hands. Here, cupped a little is nothing but taking water in the hands like this. Okay? He cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Okay? And drank that water. But he was very confused. Was it a water or was it sake? He tasted again and again because he was confused. It's not look like cold water. He was confused. That's why he was tasting again and again. But at last he came to know that it's not a cold water. It's the delicious sake. Okay? He felt so happy. Then what happened? See? Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. The old man was delighted with the sake. So, when he came to know that this water is not actually a cold water, it's sake. He was very surprised and happy that he filled that water, that sake, in a pitcher. Here, pitcher is nothing but a type of mug which is made up of clay. Okay, he always carries water in that pitcher when he leave home to the forest. So he just filled that pitcher with the sake and went home and hurried home. Okay, as soon as he reached home, he gave that sake to his father. His father have a cup of that sake. When he have it, when he drink that sake, he was delighted. Delighted means happy. Feeling happy, feeling very pleased with his son. Next, what happened? After only one swallow of the liquid, he stopped shivering and did a little dance in the middle of the floor. So what happened? As soon as his father drank that sake, he felt very happy. Within no time, within one swallow of that sip, within one sip of that sake, he stopped shivering. He stopped shivering and he began to dance on the floor. By seeing all this, Taro was surprised and at the same time he was very happy. Next, what happened? That afternoon, a neighbor stopped by for a visit. Taro's father politely offered her a cup of the sake. The lady drank it greedily and thanked the old man. Then Taro told her the story of the magic waterfall. Thanking them for the delicious drink, she left in a hurry. By nightfall, she had spread the story throughout the whole village. Then what happened? It was the afternoon time. In the afternoon, a neighbor passing by, she just visited his house, means Taro's house. As soon as she visited his father offered her a cup of the sake to her. She drank that sake and thanked the old man for offering her that sake. And she asked How is that possible? How you could get this drink? Then Taro and his father explained the entire story what had happened there with Taro. Then she thanked them in hurry and left the home hurriedly. Within no time, by the nightfall, she just spread that news throughout the whole village. She just shared whatever she heard, she just spread it to all the people in that village. Next, what happened? That evening, there was a long procession of visitors to the woodcutter's house. Each man heard the story of the waterfall and took a sip of sake. In less time, an hour, the pitcher was empty. So as soon as the entire village get to know this story, one by one they were just visiting this Taro's house. They were visiting and they get to know the entire story, what had happened there, and they all have one sip of that sake. Within 1 hour, the entire pitcher was empty. Why? Because they are offering that to each and everyone who visited his house. Next, what happened? Next morning, Taro started for work. Even earlier than the morning before, he carried with him the largest pitcher he owned, for he intended first of all to go to the waterfall. When he reached it, he found to his great surprise all his neighbors there. They were carrying pitchers, jars, bucket, anything they could find to hold the magic sake. Then one villager knelt and held his mouth under the waterfall to drink water. To drink. He drank again and again and then shouted angrily, "Water! Nothing but water!" Others also tried, but there was no sake but only cold water. What happened? So the next morning also he did the same. He left the house earlier than the morning before. So when he was leaving his house, he just carried a large pitcher this time. Why? Because he had to. He just wanted to fill that large pitcher with the sake. So while he was going, he was thinking that why shouldn't I go first to the waterfall and fill my pitcher? So he went there, and to his surprise, when he reached that waterfall, he was very surprised to see that entire village people were there carrying jars, pitchers, buckets to fill that magic water. He was hiding himself. He was just seeing all that what was happening there. So when they was filling, when the village people were filling that sake in a buckets or jars, the villager go and tasted that water through the hands. He tasted and tasted again and again. To his surprise, he shouted angrily by saying that this is not a sake, this is a cold water, only a cold water. Then other villagers also came front and just tried it. It was really a cold water, not a sake. They all were frustrated and got angry on Taro. Next, what happened? "We have been tricked," shouted the villagers. "Where is Taro? Let us drown him in this waterfall." But Taro had been wise enough to slip behind a rock when he saw how things were going. He was nowhere to be found. So, what happened when all the villagers tasted that water? They came to know that this is not a sake. This is actually a cold water. They got very angry and saying that they have been tricked, means they have been fooled by the Taro. That's why they were very angry with him. So they decided, why shouldn't we find the Taro and drown him in this waterfall? Here, drown is nothing but to make him die in the water. Okay? For that purpose, they were searching for Taro, but no one could find him because he was hiding himself behind a big rock. Okay, got my point. Next, what happened? Muttering their anger and disappointment, the villagers left the place one by one. Taro came out from his hiding place. Was it true? He wondered. Was the sake a dream? Once more, he caught a little liquid in his hand and put it to his lips. It was the same fine sake. To the thoughtful son, the magic waterfall gave the delicious sake. To everyone else, it gave only cold water. Okay? So, here, muttering is nothing but speaking unclearly, like murmuring. Whenever we get anger, we just murmur within ourselves, right? So, in the same way, the villagers also got anger and disappointment. They were just murmuring among themselves. One after the another, the villagers left that place, left that fountain. Okay, then after some time, when no one was there, Taro came out from his hiding place. He just wanted to check that water again. Was it a true? He wondered. Why? Because yesterday this same water it was a sake. But today how it could change into a cold water. That's why he got near to the water and he just and wanted to check that water. For that he just cupped it again. He just took the water in his hands and put his lips to check whether it was really a cold water or it is a sake. So that he took some water and drank it. But when he drank it, it was the same fine sake. Now he got confused. Now he got at the same time he was surprised. How it possible? Now only the villagers checked it out. It was the cold water. For me, why it happened so? When I checked it, it was getting a sake. Why? Why it happened to me only? Just tell me why it happened to Taro only? Why? Because as he was a thoughtful son, as he was loving and kind towards his parents, he was very respectful towards his parents, that waterfall gave him a delicious sake. Not for everyone. So, for everyone else, it was only a cold water. Only for Taro, it's a sake. Got it? Let's see what happened next. The story of Taro and his magic waterfall reached the Emperor of Japan. He sent for the young woodcutter and rewarded him with 20 pieces of gold for having been so good and kind. Then he named the most beautiful fountain in the city after Taro. This, said the emperor, was to encourage to all children to honor and obey their parents. So, at last, what happened? The story of this Taro and this magic waterfall reached the Emperor of Japan. So, the Emperor of Japan came to know this story of Taro and this magic waterfall. So that's why he just sent for. Sent for means sent for is nothing but calling. Okay, that Emperor of Japan called Taro to his palace and rewarded him 20 pieces of gold. Why? Why? Because he was very honest, very good, very kind towards his parents. That's why he just rewarded that much of gold to that Taro. Not only that, that fountain is nothing but that magic waterfall. Okay, fountain. That beautiful fountain is named as Taro after him, so that he wanted to encourage each and every children of that village to learn from Taro, to obey your parents, to be kind towards your parents, to honor them, to respect them, so that this type of magic will also happen for you. This is what this lesson is all about. I hope guys you all understood and enjoyed this lesson well, Taros reward. So if you still have any doubts, please don't hesitate to comment me below your doubts and questions. Okay? Thank you so much for watching again. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.